So I'm in Control Panel right now, and if you go to the battery settings in Control Panel, there are lots of options, and some people find these confusing. So let's go through a little bit about what these mean. First, they're just power plans, and a power plan is an overall collection of settings that you can choose depending on how you're using the notebook. For example, we have our HP recommended setting that's a kind of a balance of performance and battery life. There's a power saver setting that emphasizes battery life over performance. It actually slows the CPU down to make it use less power, and also does other things like set display, all of that, to preserve your battery as good as possible. And finally, there's a high performance setting that sacrifices battery life for performance. If you're doing video rendering or something like that, high performance is probably the setting to use. When I'm on an airplane, I'll always use power saver. Now, some of the settings that are controlled by these profiles are things like, what do the power buttons do? You can set your notebook to do things like sleep or hibernate based on different power buttons. Sleep means the notebook preserves its state in memory, uses a little bit of battery power to preserve that state, but you can go into sleep mode very quickly and come out of sleep mode in seconds. So very, very convenient when you're carrying your notebook from class to class or meeting to meeting. Or I even use that overnight. I'll go into sleep mode when I go to sleep at night, and when I come back out the next morning, need to use my machine, bring it out of sleep, it comes up in seconds. Hibernate means that the machine's state is preserved on the hard disk. It takes a little longer to go into hibernate, but the advantage to hibernate is it doesn't use any battery at all. Your machine stores its current operating state and turns off. Then when you bring it back on again, it brings it right off the hard disk. The other state, of course, is shut down, and shut down really means your operating system shuts down. When you turn it back on again, you have to go through the whole boot process. That takes longer, but sometimes you need to do that.
Right. So if you're just the typical PC user, other than rebooting due to software updates and things like that, is there really a need to turn your computer off when hibernate is an option?
No, there isn't. I recommend people use hibernate when they need to when they're not going to be using the computer for a long time, maybe over a weekend, maybe something longer than that. When you're walking around, you're going to use the computer again in an hour or something of that sort. You sleep. Okay. There's no reason to shut down for those kinds of things.
Right. And so from this screen, you can basically specify how your power button is going to work and what state it's going to put your computer into.
Exactly. Now let's go back to another setting. Now a lot of people, when they see their computer display go dark, they panic immediately. What happened? Did my computer shut down? I don't know.
Right.
Well, one of the things to think about is when you're on battery, your display does use a little bit of power. So when I'm on battery, I'll set the display all the way down to turn off in maybe 5 minutes. And that means if I'm sitting at the machine but I'm not actually doing anything, after 5 minutes my display goes dark. And that's going to use less power. I've seen all the way up to half an hour of savings on a battery from having the display intensity from minimum to maximum. So let your display go dark. And the only thing you got to watch out for is you got to have the self-discipline that when your display goes dark, you don't immediately move the mouse or touch the shift key or something like that to bring it back again because you're panicked. As long as you expect it to go dark and save battery, you're in good shape.
Right, okay.
I also set my machine to go to sleep on battery probably after about 10 minutes. That way, if I'm not using it for a little bit longer, it'll go into sleep mode. I know that I can come back out of sleep mode in seconds, so if I need to use it again, it'll just come right back. Okay. But that uses even less power.
Right.
And then, of course, I'll also set my display intensity a little lower. And on battery, I'll be using less power there also. Watch your display intensity settings. I've seen people on airplanes where their computer is almost a beacon. Airplanes are a dark environment. Turn the display intensity down, and your battery will last a lot longer. Right. Another thing we've got on the HP notebooks is we've got a wireless on-off button. So Wireless doesn't use a huge amount of power on notebooks today, but it does, again, wireless on versus wireless off can be anywhere from half an hour to 45 minutes of time on a full battery. So when you're not using wireless, turn it off. On our machines, we've got a nice convenient wireless on-off button. All you have to do is touch the button to turn wireless on and off. You don't have to go searching through settings or anything like that. So I always recommend to people, if you're not online, turn wireless off. You'll save some battery power. But these are all small things you can do that when you set them up and optimize your settings, you'll get a lot more time out of your battery.